Yeah, you could see the way she moved up and that long neck of hers. She was able to stretch out and was just too big and too strong. And another Baker Forsman Group 1 winner. And my selection, Fashionably, I thought, well, she got out at the right time in the turn, and if she was any good, she would have won, but she just battled on for fifth. She's quite a small, but weak looking when I saw before the race, so I thought, well, maybe next campaign she might be better, but she's certainly capable of carrying on with it next season. Saracino was pretty good, wasn't he?
Yeah, another win for both Forsman. You would have thought you would have wanted your money on Ferrando at the 200 when it went up to
That's right.
Saracino, but I think he'll be kept to 1,200 metres that horse, so he's not strong enough to get to 1,400.
Yeah.
But Saracino led all the way, fought back strongly. They'll take that to Australia. I imagine they might stick around for a race like the Cambridge Breeders' Stakes or something like that. That's later next month, but it's a strong win. And I guess over in Australia, the highlight definitely, from a New Zealand perspective, Ginger Nuts carrying on his winning way.
It was great, wasn't it? I think every Kiwi punter was cheering him on when he moved up on the turn there and just kept on going. And he did it so easily, didn't he? Just looked around a bit and amazing.
Very well. I mean, the margin was being cut at the line, but he was being eased up, and as Opie said, he still had his ears pricked, and you wouldn't be worried about the extra 400 in the Derby in a couple of weeks. So, yeah, he's been a revelation, that's for sure. And we've got a big support crew with him, and they definitely enjoyed themselves. And it's amazing, isn't it? From in the space of 2 months, they've gone from a horse that could win a rating 65 at Tauranga on a Friday to winning close to $1 million in the next 4 starts.
Yeah, and I'll see he was 460 last week for the Australian Derby, and he's coming to 350. And the question mark is, especially with staying horses, have they reached the end of their campaign? The way he won last time, you wouldn't think so, but you just don't know until they actually race. And I see we've got a horse in tomorrow from the Baker Forsman stable, which we'll touch on in part 2. An old favourite of yours, John Snow, coming into it.
Yeah, he's going over there. Hopefully, I imagine the connections will actually do well tomorrow in the Torque Stakes, and then he'll head on to the Derby. So the Kiwis might continue to pick up some good spoils over in the Sydney Carnival. Of course, it's a Killamore that's just been decimated by rain, really, and it's pretty crazy, really. Just the way that happened in Sydney. If you saw Warwick Farm on Wednesday, that was underwater at the end of the meeting after it got abandoned, and so you'll get another heavy track tomorrow. Should touch on She Will Rain winning the slipper. A pretty good ride by Ben Millen, very wide, jumped fairly, but he just angled it across to the rail and then just snuck up the rail and bounced about 10 horses doing that from about the 900 to the 400 and just continued to hug the rail and ran away and hit. And interesting, the last 2 slipper winners have both been beaten at their last start prior to the slipper as a hot favourite, and then come out and defied a significant betting drift and won the slipper.
Yeah, that just goes to show the horse drifts out. Doesn't always mean it's going to lose, but he was a good ride by the young fella and came through on the inside. Walking the track was a big plus. And we all like to see a good plunge come off, and we were able to be part of one yesterday at Waipukurau, of all places, when Flamingo opened up she was $9.50 on Wednesday night, and with a scratch and was into $7 Thursday morning, and then she gradually came into $5.50, $4.50. Then Emma Howarth came on trackside, interviewed by Bevan Sweeney, and she let the cat out of the bag and said, yes, we think quite a bit of her and we think she'll win, or words to that effect. And she got shuffled back, got out wide on the turn and just cruised past. Sam Weatherly didn't move on her. So she's certainly a smart filly going places, but from $7 into $3, it's good to see those old-fashioned plungers come off. Rightio, that was good fun, and back with part 2 in a moment with our preview of a couple of good races at Tauranga and also in Australia. Back with a preview of some nice races at Tauranga tomorrow and a couple in Australia. This morning, Friday morning, I got a good dose of rain over here in Papamoa, but what was it like over in Tauranga? You had a few showers, did you, this morning?
Yeah, just a heavy shower at 7 o'clock, but that was all. Cleared pretty quickly. The forecast is for no rain. Earlier in the week the rain was coming, and it's just as the weeks progress, the forecast has slowly pushed that rain out to Sunday. So fingers crossed we might get away without any more rain, which should see the track pretty perfect, I'd say. Dead 4, maybe good 3, but so I think a few trainers were worried that it might end up being a slow, heavy track. I don't think that'll be the case.
Yeah.
So factor that in. If you're taking early bets, I don't think there'll be too much rain prior to the race.
Yeah, good. Now the big race, the Windsor Park Stud Japan New Zealand International Group 2 race, pretty big field there with Scabolo coming in late and condensing all the weights for the other horses. Anything you're keen on in that race?
Yeah, the track remains pretty good, which I think it will. I quite like number 14, Romantic Maid. I think track work on Tuesday was sensational. I was told over in Cambridge, and she's on the way up. I think she'll be aiming at a Australian campaign, probably to Brisbane in the winter, and I think this will be the type of race that will be just a stepping stone for her. So I know she's got brilliantly off in the weights. She would have got quite a weight advantage over Ringy Poe if the ball hadn't have paid up, but now she only gets half a kilo off him. But we'll stick with her Romantic Maid, number 14 in the Windsor Park Japan New Zealand International Trophy.
Yeah, she's a nice mare. I quite like all roads, but it's a race I'm not really that keen on having a bet in. But Scapolo, I suppose, if the inside goes off, he has to be a chance. Rangipo, class horse, well weighted. Our King Sway, if rain did come, his chances would increase. But Romantic Maid, she's a good mare. 52 kg. Danielle Johnson ticks a few boxes, doesn't she? So has to be a chance. And earlier on we've got race 6, the Bay of Plenty, or the dry mix cement Bay of Plenty Open Handicap, 2,100 metres, and we've got Pacorus in there, and Indian Rose, bit of a course specialist. Clarify, nice horses. What are we going for there?
This race, Neil, we think that Timber likes to go forward. Woodsman.
Yeah, that's right.
Clarify has led before, so should be a decent pace. The chorus on trial for the Sydney Cup, but he needs to win this to justify his come over the bits. But yeah, I'm sticking with Indian Rose. I was impressed with their win at at Matamata midweek 10 days ago, and I think she's an underrated mare and on the way up, and she should go back to back and take out the Bay of Plenty Cup on Saturday. So that's my pick. Indian Rose, I think $4.80. What's the price? $5.20.
Yep. Nice money. Anyway, I can feel a chocolate fish coming on there. We'll come back to that after we've had a look at Australia. They've got the BMW racing there, all on a heavy track by the sounds of it. And we've got the 2,400 metre weight for age race. We've got Tavago won well last start. And Jamaica. There's a question mark over our Ivanhoe. He's going to be vetted on Saturday morning, so he may not start. And Exospheric, which was probably the worst Group 1 ride I've ever seen last start. So, and Humidor, of course, who won the Australian Cup in fine form, Damien Lane on. What are you pumping for there? Anything strongly at all?
Well,
Who shot the barn, I suppose? Which track?
I was just thinking about the barman. The heavy track certainly won't worry him. 2 starts ago, first up was a good third to Winks. I wouldn't be riding off who shot the barman at this point.
Yeah, I'm pretty keen on Tavago. You must have seen his win last start. He just tracked him behind off a good speed. And what impressed me was about 150 metres to go. He was asked to go, and you could see him put his head down and just go and extended his stride and just relished his work and drew out for a good strong run. 2,400 metres suits him nicely. He won the Derby at Ramwick on a slow track, beating Jamaica easily. And I think 460, he may get the drifts even, but with our Ivanhoe out, he'll his price will probably come down to about 380, 370 or something. But Tavago, I think, is a really good bet in this race. But, he shot the Barman. Wet track as well. You know he's going to relish a wet track. Was a bit unlucky as well last start. So.
They're going to go forward with the spirit, I believe, and try and ride her like they did in the Oaks and just try and dominate from the front. Obviously gets a bit of weight relief.
Yep.
I see she's $18 as well, but she's leading all the way.
Yep. Okay, yeah, well, in the previous race we've got a good form line coming through John Snow, haven't we now, with Ginger Nuts winning the last week. So John Snow ran a great third to him in the Derby. Similar closing sectionals too, they were. So he's been an old favourite of yours over this campaign too, so what chance to give him?
I think he's a very good bet tomorrow, John Snow.
Yep.
The Baker Forsman team, they don't travel horses to Australia unless they're ready to go. So they have the option of, how many did they have in the Derby? 4 horses from memory, and it's just I think the only one they're taking over of those 4. So Wind Track won't worry him, and he's $3.20. I think that's a pretty good bet. John Snow tomorrow.
He was 380 about 10 minutes ago, so it's good to see some money coming from him.
I think after I told you he's going to be a winner, you've just backed him.
Yeah, keep that quiet. No, he looks the one, and maybe in the Australian Derby in a couple of weeks. What's he paying there? He must be paying good odds to win that.
I think $15 unless you've knocked that price off as well, Neil. Let me just check again.
He's still $15, yeah.
Still 15, John Snow's, sorry, Ginger Nuts $3.50. Anaheim, Trent Busselton's horse, Samantha Young's horse, $7. Sacred Elixir still in there at 15. So he's having an exhibition gallop at Tauranga tomorrow, Sacred Elixir. And they'll decide from there whether they press on to the AJC or AGC Derby.
Yeah. No, well, you think you've got to back John Snow at $15, don't you? Because if he wins that, he's going to be into $6-7 probably. So, and so make sure you're on at $15 too. Okay, anything else you're keen on at all in the weekend? Mainly at Tauranga? Considering a dead track, dead 6 track. I think it's dead 6 at the moment, so shouldn't get any worse, hopefully.
No, I don't think it'll get any worse. That's a no.
Earlier on, it's Mongolian Wolf, an old favourite of mine. I think it's going to be hard to beat.
Yeah, it'd be hard to beat, I guess. Wildflower would be the one. It'd be hard to beat Mongolian Wolf. But
Yeah.
No, nothing. I don't have anything that I'd tip with any confidence at this point in time.
Okay, let's go for our chocolate fish bet. That I reckon you're one of Indian Rose. Just bring up the race here, race 6, isn't it? Yeah. I quite like Pecross back on a dead track. It's a good run, fresh up, I thought, when it was 5th, ranged up as though it was going to win, but just blew out. So I'm happy to go head to head with you on Indian Rose for a chocolate fish. I must be a couple behind too, so about time.
You're going to be 3 behind after this week.
Oh no, Pecross is a good horse. Chris Wood, like I say, he's going for the Sydney Cup. Indian Rose, I can't see who.
Swing on a horse on the way up. I'd be on Indian Rose all day over Pecross. There you go.
Rightio, okay, we're on there, the chocolate fish. And it's one of those days tomorrow where you can't go too confidently on too many things, but those 2 horses in Australia, I think, are good bets. Rightio, back with part 3 in a moment with the sports preview. Right, back with the sports preview, and last week Money Shot, you gave out 3 good selections, and the Hurricanes and Canberra teams both covered the point start very easily for us, and 2 good games too. But Penrith, a frustrating game head to head, and you must have been chewing your fingernails, were you? And maybe throwing a few things as well.
I had to go and buy a new TV on Monday, Neil, after the last one got smashed with whatever I threw at it. But yeah, it was a frustrating game in the sense that the last try that won the game for the Roosters was clearly off the back of a forward pass. And then the referee's boss come out on Monday and say, oh yeah, well no, we got that wrong. But I guess the luck of betting, isn't it? You win some, you lose some, but yeah, we've been Meatloaf a couple of weeks in a row now, 2 out of 3, but not good enough. So this week we'll cut it back to just 2, and let's hope we're 2 out of 2. We'll go to a rugby game, pick a team that probably most people laugh at me for, but I think the Blues are ready to put their foot in the till. They've won their first game impressively, lost to the Chiefs, lost to the Crusaders, lost to the Highlanders, but I think against South African opposition will be a different kettle of fish, and they'll run riot against the Bulls. Albany Stadium tomorrow, 7:30. So we're going option 2103, number 3. The Blues minus 11.5, currently paying $1.87. I think they're due in racehorse in parlance. Big drop in class from their previous opposition. The Bulls haven't done much. They've struggled to beat some of the much lesser sides in the competition thus far, and travelling over. And I think they'll get a wake-up call come Saturday night.
Good.
And you can multi that into our best bet of the league this weekend, which I do like the Canberra Raiders. A team that could go quite deep into the competition, but they've been rorted, if you want my opinion, this week. They come off a Sunday afternoon game to play a Friday night game, so that's 5-day turnaround, while the home team, the Brisbane Broncos, get an 8-day rest. And I think at home on a Friday night, we all know the Broncos have a very good record Friday night games at home, and just with that extra 3 days rest, I can't see Brisbane losing 2 in a row at home after being beaten last week by the Cowboys. So we'll go with the
option 244. Yep.
2441, number 1, Broncos minus 3.5 at $1.87. I think the Broncos lost 2 weeks ago at home. Actually, they lost to the Storm last week. So, but yeah, they won't lose 2 in a row at home, I don't think. So option 2441, number 1, Broncos minus 3.5 against the Raiders, 10 o'clock tonight. That kicks off here.
Right out. Now, when you do your sports analysis, do you take into account the referee at all for either code, rugby or league, sometimes, depending on the referee?
It's hard. No, to be honest, I don't. It's hard to. It'd be hard to sort of come up with some analysis. As I see here's an article in the paper this morning. They've announced the refs for the 3 games in the Lions series, and all 3 of them. The article was focused around that the All Blacks have never lost when these 3 referees have been reffing them. Well, the All Blacks hardly lose anyway, so, you know, is it the fact that the All Blacks are good, or are these refs biased towards the All Blacks, which you kind of, that's the angle that I think the media were trying to portray with their story. But no, I don't tend to look at the refs. If you started to do that, you probably should give up betting, because you'd be working on conspiracy theories, really, wouldn't you?
That's right, yeah, and it's when you've got 15 players against 15 players, so many things can happen during a game. A referee can't have that bigger effect on a game on a consistent basis.
We always remember the games where we feel we get rorted, and we're very quick to forget the games where we might have been a bit lucky with a ref's call going our way. So, like you said, you like to think it balances out, and as you say, the players on the pitch are the ones that actually really determine the result. But yeah, just last Saturday night was a bit frustrating, but that's the way it goes. Hopefully people reloaded on the Raiders on the Sunday, and that was after the Tigers scored an early try. It was one-way traffic really from there on in, wasn't it?
Yeah, I certainly backed them, because I was out. I came back and my got it and fast forward through to the midway through the second half, and it was all over by then, wasn't it, really? So that was great. Yeah. Okay, back with part 4 in a moment with our bats and bouquets and multi-question. Looking forward to that multi-question this week.
Part 4 now, Neil, and we'll kick off with our bat and bouquet, and I think you've got one of each over the last 7 days, something that's annoyed you and something that's pleased you.
Yep. The yesterday at Waipukurau, there was great coverage all day at Waipukurau yesterday, but when it came to the last race, they had the prices up with Venetian blinds, so you couldn't see the horses doing their prelims. And Bevan Sweeney was talking about horses that were sweating up and not looking too good, and etc., etc. But you couldn't see it, and it was just frustrating that those Venetian blinds were up. They didn't need to be up. The prices were going along the bottom. So just a little gripe. We've mentioned it before, but they do a terrific job on trackside. But that is just one thing that I just can't see why they do it. Anyway, you got any back to bouquets?
I'll give a bouquet to the track manager at Wellington. I thought the track played very fairly again last Saturday, with horses winning up the rail or out further wide and coming from behind or leading all the way. So you'd have to say the last 5 meetings now, the 4 in a row in January and again last Saturday, tracks played pretty fair. So we're quick to bag track managers when things go wrong or there's terrible biases and the like. But no, hats off to the Trentham track manager.
Yeah. Dead right. It's just so good to see racing without a pronounced bias. You've got to figure it out. This thing's drawn the inside. Can it get off, etc., etc. So it does make for much fair racing and better punting as well. So. And I've got a bouquet.
You got a bouquet?
Yeah, just a little bouquet for the Warriors fans. Well done if you stuck with them this far, but I've given up on them. That was just shocking last week, and I said they're playing St George on Sunday. On Sunday night, 8:30, and the point starts. St George are giving 1.5 point start, $1.87. Just put your house on that and keep following the other team. But what's your take on the Warriors? You've seen them play. What's missing?
Just not tough enough. I don't think their forwards have enough mongrel in them to really, beat up the other forward packs. So then the backs are always playing a bit of, without that roll forward. That when they give Johnson and I'm sure 4 in the same bit of space and they'll be unstoppable. But if the forwards aren't doing the job,
yeah, exactly.
They just don't seem to have it, do they? It's sort of just season after season the same sort of problems arise and it just repeats itself, unfortunately. So disappointing if you're a Warriors fan, but hey, the way we're going now, they'll probably come out and win the premiership now.
Here's hoping, you never know. Yeah, when I used to play league, I played league until I was up to about the age of 17, 18, and every team I played in, if the forwards were going forward and had a bit of mongrel, you just got good ballers that I'd played out in the backs, and if you got good forwards giving you a good ball, it was just so hard to lose, so many scoring opportunities. So you did right, I think. Yeah. And last week, Lance P was the winner of the Baker Forsman last winner in the Oaks, which was starring back in what year was it? 1990?
91, I think.
91, yeah.
I think I might have been there at Trentham that day.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's a few years ago.
Yeah, no, if you got it, I was quite surprised.
Yeah, about 7 or 8, so that was quite good.
Making them too easy then, Neil.
Okay.
How does Multi go? He missed out Sacred Shot.
Yeah, Sacred Shot just got caught out in a sprint home, but he's one that hit the line in one of the fastest last 200 metres all day, so get him up over middle distance. It'd be much harder to beat. But what do you got lined up for us this week for the Multi?
Well, we've got a topical question relating to the big race tomorrow at Tauranga, the Japan New Zealand International Trophy, sponsored by Windsor Park Stud. The proprietor of Windsor Park Stud, Nelson Schick, owned the winner of this race back last century, trained by one Jim Gibbs. So we want to know the name of the horse that was owned by Nelson, trained by Jim, that won the Japan New Zealand International Stakes. So a bit trickier. We might sort the wheat from the chaff a bit more this week, Neil, and you won't have so many names in the hat. So get your answers into Neil if you can name that horse who we refer to there. Text or email is the best way, I believe.
Yep, 027 352 6402 or formpro@formpro.co.nz. Get it in by 10 p.m. tonight, and I'll let you know either way soon after that. If there's more than one, the dear wife will draw it out and we'll see who wins it. And get that bit into me by 11 a.m. Saturday morning so I can post it. And see how we go. Our $100 bets for tomorrow. I'll go first. You went first last week. Give you a chance to think about your one. I'll go to the BMW Tavago. I think Tavago is a great bet. $100 on the tote. I don't know what price he's going to be at this stage, but he'll pay with our Ivanhoe out about $4, I'd say, around about that sort of mark. Really good bet, heavy track. Okay, money shot. What are you going for?
I'll go John Snow.
Yeah.
So there you go. We missed out last week with Royal Success. Just got hipped on the line by Shadow's Cast, and I think your one, Kalani, was scratched, wasn't he?
Yeah, and said Royal Success, the rider dropped the whip as well, so that didn't help.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, about 200 metres out. Yeah, so they were a bit annoyed, I think, too. Anyway, what else? Oh, yes, I see there's a really good announcement made this week about the Racing Act, which should prove a good income earner for the racing industry. You saw that?
Hopefully, yeah, if it goes through. So the Act is proposed to be amended to make some changes, so that has to go through 3 readings in Parliament before those changes are approved and brought into law. But one of the changes is in-play betting, so you can bet during the run in horse races, which obviously overseas corporate bookmakers do already, so the TAB trying to come into line with that. So I know you quite enjoy those, especially in steeplechases, when you quickly get on a horse that's, if the favourite's fallen and then all the values, all the horses that are remaining, you get on quick enough. Sometimes there's money to be made in in-play betting.
Yeah, especially with technology these days, where you can bet through your iPhones or during the race, and you can get on. It's and it's got to be with the other bookmaking companies having to pay for the race fields too. That money's got to be a great income for the industry, and hopefully just goes directly into stakes as much as we can. And something else I saw the other day, I was on this morning actually, on the Formline program, talking about bundle betting. Quite a simple, good idea where you can back 2 or more horses that you nominate in one race to win. And say you pick 3 horses, one paying 5, one paying 7, and one paying 10. If either one of those wins, you put $10 on, you might get, say, $25 back if one of those wins. Just like backing multiple horses in one race, but nice.
As long as they don't slash the odds, rather than you doing it yourself on a weighted basis, that would be good. But that's a good way people cover their bets by having 2 or 3 horses.
Yep, that's just a good option for some people, I think. And right, anything else?
You'll be disappointed though, Neil. I see in the proposed changes they aren't yet at the point where they can. They're not trying to change the act so that they can bet on things other than racing or sporting events. So you won't be able to get your money on who's going to win the Bachelor this season.
Actually, I know one of the ladies in the Bachelor this year.
Do you now?
Yep.
Got some inside intel, have you?
Not really. No, not really. I can't say officially, but yeah. No, I'll mention her name last week. My daughter knows her quite well, and she's off to a good start too, so it's good to see. No, and things like
you don't watch it though. Tell me you don't watch it, Neil.
I have to. My wife watches it. My daughters watch it, so I've got to keep up with the play.
You got to hand your man card back in. You cannot be watching The Bachelor.
Especially if you know somebody, you've got to watch it. It's like watching a sports game. If you know someone's on the team, you've got to watch them, don't you? Give me a break. Give me a break.
No. Dear, Neil. That's very disappointing. Very disappointing indeed. Never mind. No, I'm sure it would have been good to get betting. Imagine the betting interest in, say, the US election, if you could bet on that in New Zealand, or the upcoming New Zealand election, or things like that. So that will come in time, I'm sure.
Right.
People have an opinion on those sorts of things, whether it will rain on Christmas Day and all those weird and wonderful options that I guess the British are well known for.
Yeah. No, it just makes adds a bit of spice to people's lives, I suppose, if they're going to have a bet in the elections. Dead right. So hopefully it will go through, and I can't see why it won't. So anyway, Everyone, have a real neat weekend of punting and following those sports bets, and hopefully by Monday we'll all come out with a bigger balance in our TAB accounts. So have a great weekend.